In this video, we're going to go over how to post your tenant receipts and your ledger receipts. And that is done through AR, tenant receipt, or ledger receipt, as well as batch receipts. We're going to start with tenant receipts. On your tenant receipts, after you've gone through and assembled all your checks and any other payments you have, and you determine the total amount of the items that will be on one deposit slip, then you're going to go in here and you're going to click on the tenant or the unit. You'll notice the date defaults to the system date. You bring up the tenant that's in there and you're going to click on the flashlight button or start by typing in their ID, which will bring it up. Now, when you bring it up, it brings up any personal notes, profile notes that are in the tenant profile. This is just an example of one. There could be others. Once you click OK to that, you'll notice that in the payment field, you have the total amount due. Tenant's not paying you the total amount due. You can just change the amount to what they are paying you. And then click in the memo field. Notice at the bottom, it's going to start paying off the oldest charges first. You can move that around. You can adjust the numbers to pay off things that you want it to pay off and skipping other things that you don't. Memo field is, if you double click, it'll automatically put in check and then the pound sign. If you take that out, you can put in money order and then the pound sign, cashier's check and the pound sign. If it's cash, you can type in cash, but also after you type in cash, in the upper right-hand corner, you see the box for currency. If it's a cash payment, you're going to X that box for currency. That way, this categorizes it for your reports where you can limit it to just how much cash you received in one day or 1 month. Once you've adjusted everything in there the way that you want it to be, then you can determine if you have any new charges that you need to post. Now, the new charges tab is down at the bottom of the screen, and you can click on new charges. And let's say this tenant has a plumbing charge. Put the plumbing in there, and this will post a charge for plumbing. Now, once this is paid, it's going to pay it off to the owner. If this payment is due to the management group, you just X the box, pay management group. This way, this payment will show up in the management group's ledger. Once you have this one in there, then you can just click on New. When you get this message, this means that the new charges is being paid off. You can allow this to happen or not allow it to happen. Most times you don't want it to happen. So you can cancel that out, go back to the current charges, skip this one and only pay off $878 of this one. Then when you come over to the new charges, you have 55 being paid off, and then you click New, and it's telling you that 73 is being used from open credits. Then you can click OK. Once you click on New and OK, then you can go in there and pick up the new tenant. This brings up again everything that this tenant owes. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see that it gives you the breakdown. Current charges owed, starting open credits, current charges paid. If there's open credits in there, then the payment field box will be minus that open credits. It'll say that they paid, say they had $85 in open credits, the payment field's going to default to $1,900. You always want to make sure that if you're only using open credits, that you use the payment field at a 0. So you're going to leave that blank, and it's only going to use the open credits to pay it. This way you don't have a receipt sitting on your deposit slip that's not real because you meant to use just the open credits. Once you click on Post on that one, it's going to close this screen out. Then you can go in and do your owner receipts or a deposit. If you have another tenant to do, you can just click on New and do another tenant. And in here you see that this tenant owes $23.65 in rent. And you notice here that there's 2 charges here. So you're going to want to skip the last one and only put in what they owe for the one charge. You can go back into the tenant history and correct that. And it's always good to put in a check number and a money order number or cash. That way you can always search for things like that and see if maybe a check number was posted to the wrong tenant or the wrong owner. So you always want to make sure that you use that memo field for future reference. Once you're done with that, then you can just click on Post. Next would be your owner receipts. Now your owner receipts can be actually cash in from an owner. It can be a check that was a reimbursement to an owner for a double billing. So once you put in the owner here, you can restrict it to a specific unit. So say this owner gave you cash for Rockport. Say he gave you $2,300 and this was for repairs. You can put the memo in here again as the check number. But you can also put in new roof so that you have that information in there. When you click on new, then you can put in another owner and restrict it to a specific unit and say that this was from a vendor. So you're going to post it to the ledger of the owner by the unit so that it's unit specific. Put in the amount that the vendor refunded you. And then again, you're going to put vendor refund. You can put the vendor's name or you can put in anything that would allow you to keep track of that. Now you'd want to put in here what the vendor is refunding the owner for. Once you have all that information inputted, you can either click on Post or you can go over here to the left-hand side and click on Deposit Receipts. This is going to bring up the deposit receipt so that you can verify everything is correct on your deposit. And if someone else posted a receipt, you'd want to X the box for Show All Undeposited Receipts, so it'll bring up every undeposited receipt. You want to verify this matches the records that you have in your hand. And then you want to say the total marked, $86.57.50. If you double click in that field, it'll fill that in over here at the total deposit. You can put a memo in there. You can put a comment in there. Once you're done with that, you can just click on Post. Once you're done with that, you're going to go back to the ledger receipt and click on Post again. Now the third item in here is batch receipts. On batch receipts, this is for if you have Inocio, which we recommend as our third party, and you would come in here and bring up the deposit from Inocio. Or if you're using another company that uses a lockbox file, you would click at the bottom, Load Lockbox File. For help on how to do that, you'd actually have to go through the help files on that or call in to support at 1-800-397-1499.
That completes our video. If you have any questions, just email us at support@promas.com or give us a call.